This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at El Villarejo. But before that, this video is brought to you by GoldenEye 48 and Raznak. Thank you for being farm barons. This map actually comes in two different varieties. We have the single player variant, which is where we're going to spend a significant portion of our time today. And we have a multiplayer variant. And the real big differences between single player and multiplayer is that in single player, Farm 1 is fully built out with buildings and starting machinery. Farms 2 and 4 do not have starting machinery or buildings. Farm 3 is kind of an interesting mix where we have the farmhouse area and a couple sheds, but the rest of the buildings are missing. So if you want to play with all four of these farms equipped as you see them kind of here in this screenshot, you're going to have to do a little bit of trickery locally in order to basically prepare your save game to do that. And I will be talking about kind of the steps you need to take in order to do that later on in the video. But again, we're going to be basically spending most of our time in the single player variant. Now, this map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description because this is a really long one. Welcome to El Villarejo. I've already forgotten how to pronounce this thing. A place based 100% on imagination. This can be your definitive place for the world of agricultural simulation. This map contains two different modes from standard and multiplayer. It has multiplayer with factories already installed. It has a multitude of factories already installed, which unlike those in the base game, you can sell and buy whenever you need them. The map is compatible with all official FS22 DLCs. JMZ's custom lime textures are pre-installed. Compatibility with the Manure system mod for PC only. Multi-terrain angle, which I find interesting that doesn't say PC only, because I thought that was one of the kind of delineations between PC and console support. But anyway, multi-terrain angle, precision farming ready, premium DLC crops are supported, modified crop destruction on wheat, barley, oats, rapeseed, or canola, soybeans, and sunflower. You'll be able to sell all farm buildings except the farmhouse, which for configuration reasons was discarded from that option. Now, I take a little bit of an exception to that statement because I was able to sell a farmhouse in single player and in multiplayer when I tried. So I'm not really sure what they mean by that. You definitely can't place the farmhouse back if you do sell it though. So maybe that's what they're trying to describe. Different points of purchase and livestock available, each with their own animals to improve the gaming experience. You'll need to supply your factories with empty pallets, which you can make yourself or purchase at the farm store. All farms, sheds, animal pens, factories will begin to come to life when you acquire them. The base game maps. So basically you need to own all the land in order to use it. That's basically what they're saying there. On this map, we have around 100 plots of land at your disposal, 61 fields with good number of grass missions, more than 20 pre-installed factories, 3 different points of sale to purchase livestock, various logging areas, placeable sheds, a great variety of buildings to store all types of bulk materials, land with pre-installed wind and solar energy, 2 BGAs, edited animal pens, a wide variety of product sell points, stone quarry, umbrella collection system for almonds and pistachios, 4 new crops in chickpeas, lentils, almonds, and pistachios. Customized machinery for harvesting of olives, almonds, and pistachios. More than 40 new fill types. Edited animal feeding. Then we have new pigs in Iberian breeding and fattening. Dairy sheep in the Castella and Asaf. Totally butchered that. Also, depending on which pen you put them in. In multiplayer mode, we have 4 pre-installed farms, a great variety of sheds, product warehouse, and a farm silo, 2 farms with cows and 2 farms with dairy sheep, and basically all the farms have some sort of cheese factory. Multiplayer mode is pre-designed solely and exclusively to create the game in multiplayer. You should know that this multiplayer mode is started in a single player game, you'll have vehicles distributed in different farms and places that you will not be able to use. And I described that in the later segment. To include a save game on a dedicated server, you must first start the game in multiplayer mode. Each farm is assigned a default name and color on the map, and we're going to be showing that again later on in the video. Now, we do have 3 listed required mods down here, but there's actually a 4th, and we're going to be talking about that here in a moment. We have low-cost silos, olives and olive picker, and interactive productions. Let's go ahead and load on into the map. We'll talk about that 4th required mod, as well as other items. The required mod that is missing from the required mods listing is the dairy sheep pack. So if you do try to load this up in single player and don't have the dairy sheep pack installed, well, it will tell you and it will prompt you if you want to go ahead and download that. But if you are looking to put this map up on a dedicated server, you will need to know that you do need the dedicated sheep pack, because if you don't have that uploaded, it's not going to tell you exactly which mod is missing, and the game is just going to fail to start. In addition to these required mods, we are going to be using the mods we typically use when we look at maps. They are additional field info, additional game settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, precision farming, and straw harvest. I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm management or start from scratch, you will find the farm is built out exactly how you see it here in new farm mode. In addition, you do have your starting machinery in those alternate game modes. The only exception is you do not own any land. Now, with respect to loading this map up on low-end systems, I used a low-end system with integrated AMD graphics, and I had 0 issues whatsoever in running this map at 60 frames per second. Occasionally, when you first load in, you may have to have a little bit of a stutter as textures load in and cache, but after that happens, gameplay is nice and buttery smooth at 60 FPS. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. This is, of course, a standard size map. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22. In addition, we have chickpeas, lentils, almonds, pistachios. And if you do have the premium expansion enabled, our red beets, carrots, and parsnips. Taking a look at our farmland overview screen, we start out by owning the main farm, farmland ID 126. That can be bought for $209,000 in any alternate game mode. In addition, we have a cow pasture at farmland ID 122 and 2 fields at farmland ID 29 and 20. Other notable points of interest: farm 2 is going to be at farmland ID 124. That's going to be able to be bought for $287,000 in any alternate game mode. Farmland ID 3 is going to be multiplayer farm 3. It's going to be farm ID 125. That can be bought for $249,000. And farm 4 in multiplayer is farmland ID 123. That can be bought for $272,000. In addition, we do have 2 BGAs on the map. We have one to the south, farmland ID 66, for $121,000, and farmland 67 to the north for $168,000. There's a ton of other viable farmlands on this map, and most of them are going to be tied to production. We do have 1 horse pasture that I want to point out here at farmland ID 118. We also have 2 sheep pastures at farmland ID 119 and farmland ID 121. And then we have another cow pasture located here at farmland ID 120. Now let's just quickly jump over to a segment I just previously recorded related to multiplayer, and we're going to talk about how to merge this multiplayer map into single player, because when we do get around to our fly around portion, you're going to find that farms 2, 3, and 4, they are not fully equipped with buildings in the single player variant of this map. And then I'll bring you right back where we are here. So let's talk about this map in its multiplayer variant, because if you want to play this map in single player and have all 4 farms pre-built, you're going to have to go through a bit of a process by loading this map up in a local multiplayer session first, doing some things, saving the game, and then you'll be able to load that save into single player, and you should then have full access to farms 2, 3, and 4 built out exactly how you see them here. We've already talked about in single player, if you load this map up, you're going to have farm 1 built out, farm 3 and farm 3 up here is going to be partially built out. Farms 2 and 4 down here are just going to be complete barren areas for you to build up if you want. But that may not be the experience that you want. If you want all 4 farms built out exactly how you see them here, what you're going to have to do is, one, like I said, load this up in a single, no, it's not a single, but a local multiplayer session. Okay. Basically, you're going to go to multiplayer on the main menu, create game, pick a blank save game slot, and then load the multiplayer map up in medium difficulty. And then at that point, we're going to come down here to our barn. We're going to join the starting farm. We're going to come back up here to our farmland screen, and we're going to buy farmland ID 126. Then we're going to come back down here, and we're going to join the second farm. We're going to come back up here to our farmland screen, and we're going to buy farmland ID 124. Then, guess what? We're going to join farmland 3. We're going to back up here to our farmland screen and buy farmland 125. And then lastly, we're going to go and join farmland 4 or farm 4. And we're going to go and buy farmland ID 123. But we're not done, because we actually have to sell the machinery at farms 2, 3, and 4. Because if you load this map up in single player, the multiplayer variant, I should say, in single player, you're not going to own the machinery at farms 2, 3, and 4. They're not going to properly reassociate themselves with farmland ID 1, which is the single player farm. Therefore, you'll have machinery at all 3 of those farms that you can't do anything with. So once again, what you're going to do is you're going to join farms 2, 3, and 4. And then in order, you're going to come to your shop menu. You're going to go to your owned items, and you're going to sell all of the machinery at farms 2, at farms 3, and at farms 4. By basically joining that farm, coming back here to the shop menu, selling this. Then you come back over here, join farm 4, come back to the shop menu, and sell these items. Now, once you have done that, you're then going to be able to save the game and then load that save as a single player session. And again, you should then have all 4 farms built out with just the starting machinery at farm 1, because farm 1 will properly identify itself in single player, because farm ID 1 is single player farm ID 1 as well. What we're going to do now in this segment is basically talk about the machinery in farms 2, 3, and 4, and do a little bit of a farm tour around farms 2, 3, and 4, because farm 1 is going to be the same in multiplayer or single player. So I've now joined farm 2. Just going to quickly tab over to farm 2. And our starting machinery at farm 2 is going to be the Massey Ferguson 6S135 small tractor, Valter Valmet 8750 medium tractor, and the Kloss Axion 920 large tractor. We have the Nova 330 harvester that's going to be paired up with the PowerStream 500 header. We have the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We have the Scorpio 550 stone picker. We have the Breedal K105 lime and fertilized spreader. Zelon CFS 2501 DO forage wagon. We have the NOAA TTW 140 animal transport with the XB 190 Hauer front loader arms. And for the front loader arms, we have the front loader bucket. As far as production, each farm has the same production. In a cheese production, this particular farm has Manchego cheese, which is going to require sheep milk, rennet, and it's going to make our Manchego cheese. Now, we also have the same animals at each farm in a chicken pasture. So we will require sheep milk, but we do not have sheep on this farm without putting our own down. We have our sleep trigger here at our farmhouse. We have some of our machinery here. We have our cheese production. So we have our interactive icon and our dump point for our rennet. Our milk is going to be here around the outside of the building. Fuel. Here we have stone storage. So we have a dump point for our stones. We have our stone collector there. And we have a conveyor belt to output our stones. Forage wagon. We have a trailer in our fertilizer. Over here we have liquid storage for liquid fertilizer and herbicide. We have our harvester and our header. Some more storage. And then up here, kind of removed from the farm, well, we do have sheep that we can buy at Farmland ID 121. So now we have our wool spawn point. We have our food trough. We have our delivery point. We have our milk point for our milk giving sheep. And we have a water trough for the sheep as well. Do have a silage bunker here, a pull through silage bunker. And here on a lower level, we have a wood chip storage, very similar to our stone storage. We have our dump point for wood chips. We have our fill pipe. Then we have a hay warehouse. So we have a dump point for hay and a conveyor belt to fill from there. We have our farm silo. Farm silo does have some grain already in it. So we have soybeans, barley, sunflowers, oats, canola, and corn. So we have our dump point and our fill point. And then we have our chickens. We're going to store a total of 120 chickens. With our food point and our eggs, well, I assume the eggs are going to be on the other side, but you know what? They're not clearly marked. Now let's join Farm 3. Tab up to Farm 3, which is now just south of Field 1. As far as our starting machinery for Farm 3, we have the Fendt Favorite 515 small tractor. We have the Landini L210 Robo 6 color selectable medium tractor and the Zetor Cristal HD 170. We have the Dutzfar Topliner 4090H harvester. We have the 4090H header and header trailer. We have the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We have the Scorpio 550 stone picker again. We have the Breedall K105 fertilizer and lime spreader. The Noah TTW 140 animal transport. We have our Hauer XB 190 front loader arms. We have our front loader bucket. And we have a 2,300 kilogram front weight. Once again, at Farm 3, we have our sleep trigger at our farmhouse. We have some machinery storage. Guess what? We've got our our cheese production. This time we are going to be making, again, Manchego cheese, sheep and rennet. And of course, I'm most likely completely butchering the pronunciation of that. Let's have a pull through silage bunker. We have our sheep. So we have our dump point. We have our sheep or chicken. We have our buy point for chicken. Here we have another stone warehouse for stone storage. We have our farm silo. We have our harvester and trailer stored in here. Fuel. We have hay storage. And on the other end, we have wood chip storage, just like Farm 2. And we have our front loader arms. We have our bucket. For storage for liquid fertilizer and herbicide. And at Farmland ID 119, we have another dairy sheep area. So we hold 320 sheep in here. We have our milk point, our food point, water, and then if we do get any wool, they're going to come out over here. With that, let's join Farm 4. Again, tab over to Farm 4. And now we are just to the west of Field 40, just south of Field 48. So we are now over here. Farm 3 was located right there. Farm 2 located right there. Farmland ID 120 is going to be a cow barn. We once again have our cheese production. Parmesan cheese here, regular milk. So cow milk and rennet is going to make ourselves Parmesan cheese. Let's take a look at our starting fleet. We have the Case Maxim CVX 125 small tractor, the Valtra T55 active medium tractor, the John Deere 7R 310 large tractor, the Nova 330 harvester, and the PowerStream 500 harvester header. We have our Scorpio 550 stone picker, a Breedall K105 fertilizer and lime spreader. We have the Zelon CFS 2501D forage wagon, our Noah TTW 140 animal trailer. We have our XB 150 arms, and for the arms, we have the universal bucket, and then we've got a 1150 kilogram front weight. So we once again have our sleep trigger at this farm. I think you know what we're going to find inside of here. Our cheese production. Our milk drop-off. A straw warehouse this time. Straw, and then we have our conveyor belt. A TMR warehouse. Our dump point and conveyor belt for total mixed rations. We have our farm silo, dump and fill point. Another stone warehouse for storage of stones collected. Front loader arms, we have a fuel point. We have our harvester and header inside of here. Our liquid fertilizer and herbicide storage. And then our chickens. 120 chickens again. With our food trough. And then if we make our way down this road, we're going to wind around to the feeding robot cow area that we purchased right adjacent to this farm. 400 cows. We have a milk point. We have a water point. Our manure heap over here has a conveyor belt. We pull through a silage bunker. 2 of them, in fact. And this is the feeding robot building, so we know what's going on here. We can manually feed here if we wish. Or we can deposit bales or loose product in this building. We have our mineral feed, We have our silage, we have our straw, we have our hay. And then at the top of the hour, the little robot will feed our cows. Maybe a nice storage building for bales or whatever else we might want to put in there. And a nice large pad here to further expand this cow area. So let's just jump back over to single player. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included. Then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us? One thing that we can see is the farmlands and field numbers are lining up one for one all the way up to farmland ID 61 for field 61. That is always nice to see because it's going to make easy to cross-reference buying a field with respect to our field calculator screen, where we do now see the actual sizes of each particular field. So we have several fields ranging here from 2 to 6 hectares in size overall. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have a custom crop counter available to us on this map. In addition, we have custom growth for chickpeas, lentils, almonds, and pistachios. Taking a run down through our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in FS22. In addition, we have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, and our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Now, the story does continue as we move down through all of our base game productions, where we once again do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game production items. Another interesting point to note is that we do have the ability to buy bulk lime, but we do not have the ability to sell our stones. And that is because we do have a stone production point that is going to convert those stones to lime. But for whatever reason, it's not showing up here as just a general sell point until you buy the land. Then you will have access to the production. Now, this map does have a substantial amount of additional field types. Of course, we have our chickpeas, lentils, almonds, and pistachios. But then we have clean olives, olive leaves, UHT milk, vegetable seeds, melon, watermelon, pallets, corn oil, and almond oil. We also have pistachio oil, packaged sunflower, rapeseed, olive, corn, and almond oil. We have bottles of biogas, donuts, wooden boxes, wooden pallets, straw or wooden pellets and straw pellets, red lettuce, packaged chickpeas, lentils, compost, protein for animals, copper sulfate, yellowish lime, organic fertilizer, sheep milk, calcium carbonate. With respect to our farm production pack, we do not have the ability to sell our washed root crops. We do have the ability to sell our platinum expansion production items, though, so that is always a good thing to see. With respect to our premium expansion production, well, we also do indeed have the ability of selling that. If you are playing with pumps and hoses, we do not have built in the ability of getting rid of your separated manure. We also have sheep cheese, artisan bread, strawberry yogurt, tomato juice, ketchup, soy drink, Parmesan cheese, Manchego cheese. Then if you are playing with straw harvest, we do have the ability of selling our hay and straw pellets. We start out with a decent listing of starting machinery in new farmer mode, in single player, and in multiplayer. As you've already seen, we do have different machinery across all of those three farms. We have in single player a chicken pasture and a cow barn at the start. We do have 31 chickens and 44 cows. We do have contracts available on this map. We have a Parmesan cheese factory at the main starting farm, and this map does not have any collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet in single player. We have the Steyr 8150 small tractor, the Massey Ferguson 6716S medium, and the Fendt 933 Vario large. We have the Deucefar Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H grain header and an 8-row corn header. Then we have the 4090H header trailer as well. We have the EFG S50 forklift, a 1986 pickup truck. We have the TDK 301 RP trailer. We have the Breedall K105 lime and fertilize spreader. We have the Novacat A10 Crossflow and Novacat 301 AM ED Pro mowers. We have the Semez Z2 840H windrower, as well as the Boss Alpine 251 forage wagon. We have the Noah TTW 140 animal trailer with the Hauer XB 190 front loader arms. And for the front loader arms, we have a universal bucket and pallet fork. We have the Bremer low loader. We also have an assortment of front weights in a 3,300 kilogram, 1,000 kilogram, and 750 kilogram front weight. And we have then a FERT trailer and a galvanized bucket. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and check out our mods and DLCs because, well, we do indeed have some custom vehicles and machinery that are either a part of some required mods or built into the map itself. So with respect to our dairy sheep pack, we have a milk tanker that is going to be configured to take regular milk and sheep milk. For the map itself, we do have color selectable McCormick and Landini tractors, as well as a color selectable methane tanker. We have an Almond Pro New Holland almond harvester. We have a color selectable subsoiler, as well as a universal bucket that has been modified, and color selectable liquid tankers that have been modified to accept various oils, as well as methane, sheep milk, fuel, and then other fill types that are included on the map. We have our mineral tanker that is set up to take the silage additive. We have our modified olive harvester. Then we have our tree shaker for almonds. We have a sprayer that is set up for almonds and pistachios. Then we have a sprayer that's set up for our olive trees as well as our grapes. We have a pistachio tree shaker. We have a FERT trailer that is set up with fertilizer and herbicide. Then we have organic fertilizer as well. We can buy empty pallets here. We can buy a pallet of minerals. We have copper sulfate. We can buy a tote of that. We can buy a barrel of hydraulic oil. We can buy a pallet of vegetable seed, as well as various containers, plastic box, and wooden boxes. The wooden box is going to be for our pistachios. We can buy New Holland spare parts and a galvanized bucket. We have then the Interactive Productions pack, which is going to have some mods available itself in the store in a stick cage, mineral water barrel, wooden box, red plastic box, plastic boxes, milk tanker. Then we have the Renette jug, and this is going to be needed for our cheese production. And then we have cheese pallets. For our olives and olive picker, we have the olive picker, which is going to be an olive tree shaker, and the hydraulic oil. Let's take a look at all the custom productions on this map. I've gone ahead and bought all the productions that are available on this map and also filled all the outputs. So when we do go around and tour the map, we should see all the outputs fairly easily, and I therefore identify where those outputs are going to spawn. At the main starting farm, we have a Parmesan cheese production. That's going to require milk and rennet, and we're going to make then wheels of Parmesan cheese. We have at 2 farms in multiplayer, Parmesan cheese production, and then we have in multiplayer 2 other farms that also have cheese production and the Manchego cheese. And the only real difference between that and Parmesan is going to be sheep milk versus cow milk. So in addition to the Parmesan cheese production, we have 2 BGAs. The South BGA is going to output biogas in small tanks, whereas the North biogas plant is not. The methane is just going to be available in bulk, and then we're going to be able to pull that out with a trailer. We have a sawmill where we're going to take wood and pallets and make planks and wood chips. Now, I was looking earlier, and I could not find where the planks were spawning. So hopefully we'll have better luck taking a look around in this video. But if not, I warn you, it acts like they spawn, but I don't know where they actually appear. It doesn't make any real sense. We have a packaging factory where we're going to be bringing sunflower, canola, olive, corn, and almond oil, as well as pallets. And we're going to get as far as outputs: packaged sunflower, canned rapeseed oil, bottled olive oil, packaged corn and almond oil. We're going to use an olive cleaner to bring regular olives, and then we're going to get clean olives and olive leaves. We have a limestone processor where we're going to bring stones and pallets. We're going to get lime, yellowish lime, and calcium carbonate as an output. We have production of organic oils where we're going to bring almonds, canola, corn, sunflower, or our cleaned olives. And we're going to get bulk almond, canola, corn, sunflower, and olive oil, which will then further process at the packaging plant that we just previously talked about. We have our carpentry. We're going to bring planks and pallets and make furniture, wood chips, and wooden boxes. Our grain mill is going to process wheat, barley, oats, sorghum, corn, and almonds into flour with the addition of some pallets. Our pallet factory is going to require wood. And it's going to output pallets and wood chips. We have our spinnery where we're going to need wool, pallets, and cotton in order to get fabric. Or I guess I should say wool, pallets, or cotton and pallets in order to get our fabric. The bakery is going to make bread, cake, or donuts. And in order to do that, we're going to need flour, pallets, and then our normal recipe for our cake. And for our donuts, well, we're going to need flour, sugar, eggs, and butter, as well as pallets in order to get ourselves a pallet of donuts. Our dairy is going to be able to produce butter, cheese, chocolate, and sheep cheese. Butter is going to be milk and pallets. Cheese is going to be milk and pallets, as well as chocolate, milk, and sugar and pallets. Then our sheep cheese is going to be sheep milk and pallets. We have a fabric confectionaries, or basically our tailor. We're going to take fabric and pallets and make clothing. We have a large greenhouse, which is going to require water, manure, vegetable seed, and pallets in order to either output lettuce, tomatoes, strawberries, red lettuce, melon, or watermelon. Our sugar mill is going to be sugar beets, pallets, sugar beet cut, or sugar cane in order to get sugar. Our cereal factory is fairly standard with the addition of pallets minus the raisins. We have our vegetable cooperative, which is going to take chickpeas and lentils and make packaged chickpeas and packaged lentils with the addition of pallets. Have you noticed a trend? Better get that pallet production going early. We have production of wood and straw pellets, where we once again need our pallets, as well as wood chips or straw in order to make our wood or straw pellets. UHT milk is going to be milk in, UHT milk out. Pistachio oil production is going to be pistachios in, pistachio oils out. Organic fertilizer production is going to be olive leaves in, water in, and organic fertilizer out. And then we have our Manchego cheese production, which is going to be sheep milk, rennet, and we're going to then get our Manchego cheese. Let's also look at our build mode because we have a ton of things that are available in build mode. Lots of buildings that are available to be placed down here on the map. Also, we have lots of silos that are also available that are included with the map. We have a liquid tanker. One of these is going to be available at all of the farms. And then we have warehouses for stone, silage, wood chips, straw, TMR, hay, pistachios, almonds, olives, grapes, sugarcane, sugar beet, potatoes, chaff. Then we also have compost warehouse. We have a solid fertilizer warehouse. We have a grass warehouse, lime, manure, pig feed, seed. Then we have clean olives. We have olive leaves. We have animal protein warehouse. We also have a warehouse for our red beets, carrots, and parsnips. We have a manure bunker extension. Also, that is a part of this map. Silos, we have the manure heap extension, as well as grain silo extensions. We have storage for diesel, methane, and copper storage. So this is copper sulfate. And then we do not have the ability to place down the custom farmhouse that is on all the farms. Under production, we once again have a ton of things available to place. Some of these things are pre-placed, some of these things are not. The UHT milk production. We have the pistachio oil production we can put down. We also then have a compost master, a sugar beet cutter. We also have a feed master, fert master, forage master, pig food master, and Seedmaster. Well, I'll give you a hint. They make all the products for which they are the master of. We do have included with the sheep dairy pack a sell point for sheep cheese and sheep milk. Under orchards, we have pistachio trees, almond trees, and olive trees, and these are planted individually as opposed to the olives that we draw out in a straight line that are part of the map. We also have almond trees. Sorry, I skipped over those. As far as animals go, well, we do have custom sheep milk pins that are part of the dairy sheep pack that we can put down. Then under landscaping, we have quite the variety list of ground textures, as well as plant textures, and a full assortment of placeable trees. And with that, we're finally ready. Finally ready to come over here to our starting farm. This video is going to be a long one because, well, there's a lot involved in this map. Over here we have our farmhouse with our sleep trigger around the back. We have our wardrobe trigger. And then this is going to be our stone warehouse at our starting farm. Then we have a belt in order to take the stones out. We have our farm silo, so we are dump and fill point. We have a mixed ration warehouse, so we're going to be able to store mixed rations here. Again, the output where we have the belt. Storage for liquid fertilizer and herbicide. Around the corner, then, we also have a straw warehouse where we can store straw loose, and then again draw it out with the belt. We have our harvester and our headers over here. We have our fuel tanker. There's our farmhouse, just as a point of reference. Inside here we have some of our hay equipment. We do have various pallets here for fertilizer, seed, lime, and chicken feed. We have some mineral feed up there as well. Speaking of our chickens, we have our chicken coop located right here. We have 31 chickens, as I mentioned earlier. 120 total chickens are possible. We have our food trough. Now, I was looking around in the previous segment where we were talking about multiplayer, and I really don't know where our eggs are going to spawn. They may spawn here as little trays as opposed to the large egg pallets that are in base game. I really don't know, and, well, it really isn't that clearly marked. Here we have our cheese production. So this is where we're going to be bringing our milk for our Parmesan cheese. We have our interactive icon. We've got a dump here for our rennet, is what I'm going to believe it is. And then our cheese is just going to simply pile up here as wheels on this work table. Some more storage for machinery and implements. And that is pretty much the farm tour here at the starting farm. We've already taken a look at the other farms in multiplayer mode. As I mentioned, we're going to find that in single player mode, those farm areas are not really pre-placed. Let's talk about our cow pasture with our feeding robot. We got a stray cow out here. We have the water trough for our cows. We're going to come up over the bridge. Got a couple storage sheds. These would be great for bales, possibly, because they have a high roof. Then we have our feeding robots. So we have our hay, straw, and silage. We're going to have our mineral feed around the side, of course. We have our manure heap with a modified belt as an output. We have our slurry point. And then the robot's going to meander over here and feed, if we want to auto feed or manually feed, sorry. I'm going to manual feed while we have the ability right here, as well as our straw trigger. There, cow drop off for 400 total cows in this building. And then we have our milk point. We got another stray. They're just loose everywhere. What are we going to do about this? Now, something I haven't done in quite a while is I went and completely blew past our precision farming soil map. So this map is making use of the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. So let's go ahead and see how that is being applied to these fields. So as far as our starting fields go, field 20 has a little bit of silty clay and a lot of loam. And then field 28 is mostly loamy sand and then a little bit of sandy loam. We can see again how the generic soil map is being applied to these fields at this point. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude and just kind of take an aerial look at the farm here. Now, if you do go and delete the farmhouse, it is going to delete that entire structure in the middle of your screen. So we can come here, we can click on it, and it says rename, right? We don't have that ability. If we go to demolish, we click here, we do have the ability to sell it. If I do sell it, then it's all going to vanish, with the exception of the cheese production, which we can sell individually. So I'm not really sure, again, why the map author said it was not sellable, other than the fact that you can't buy it back. And maybe that is what they were getting at, that everything on the farm can be sold and bought back, with the exception of these farmhouses. So we've got our main farm there. We have our cow area that we talked about located right here. And then, as the description said, this map has 4 different animal dealers. We have a sheep animal dealer located right here. We then have a pig and cow animal dealer as well. So if we come over here without a trailer, we're basically going to be able to buy any animal we want. But if we pull up here in a trailer, we're only going to be able to buy sheep from this particular animal area. We continue to make our way to the extreme northeast of the map. This is going to be where our sawmill is located. And remember, when we were talking about our productions, I said I couldn't find the pallets. Well, I don't know why. They're right here. I don't know why they weren't showing up last time, but okay. Here they are. Hopefully they show up in your gameplay right here in front of this shed. But here we have our planks. We have our output for our wood chips. This is going to be a sell point. At the sawmill. We have our wood cell trigger here. Our wood cell activation icon. Then we have our activation trigger here for our production. Now let's make our way kind of down the eastern side of the map. We have our starting farm over there. We do have 2 pull-through silage bunkers, a bit removed from the starting farm. That's why we really didn't include it in that farm tour. This is individually buyable land, and if you do buy the land, then of course you'll have access to those silage bunkers. Then here we have our sugar mill. So we have our pallet spawn point, we have our interactive icon, And we have our dump point here around the side. We have our pallet point around the back for the sugar production. And then this is going to be a general sell point for things kind of associated with the sugar mill, but not directly. Up on the hilltop, we have another cow area, and this would be associated with the fourth farm in the multiplayer mode. And we've already kind of seen that farm tour earlier on in the video, but you can see what it looks like in single player. Kind of a travesty, really, because I would like, if I were to play this map, I would like this to just be pre-placed. But you know what? In single player, you do have the option of just completely making this your own if you should so wish. But we do have the cow area that is tied to that farm or associated somewhat with that farm available up here on the hill. Continuing now to loop around the southern part of the map. I mean, one thing you can see is that we do have quite the variety in terrain on this map. Rolling hills, rolling fields. Over here we have our wood and straw pellets production. So we have our pallet spawn point. We have our dump point. And we have our interactive icon. Oddly enough, around the back door and around the side is where we're going to dump our pallets. We have our carpentry located right next to that, where we have our dump point for our pallets. We have our wood chip fill point. And then we have our spawn point for our pallets. Our pallet production. Carpentry production, I should clarify. And our interactive icon. Continue to make our way to the west. We now have our production of organic oils. And these organic oils are going to come out in bulk right here. We have our interactive icon there. And then our dump point is right here. This is going to be a water fill point to fill up for water. Now down here we have a second animal dealer. This one is going to be specifically for pigs, because we do have the pigs located right there. So we can buy our pigs here. Then we have some sell points related to our animal dealer. And then we're going to be able to buy some products, including straw and what appears to be TMR. Across the street from that, we have the small southern BGA. So this is going to be our dump point for our slurry. This is where our biogas tanks are going to spawn. We have our digester, our interactive icon. We have our fill point for our digestate. Then up and behind, we have two pull-through silage bunkers. This is going to be a sell point for manure, a buy point for liquid fertilizer and herbicide, sell point for slurry and digestate. Up on the hill, this is going to be Farm 2 in multiplayer. And as you can see, we have the farmhouse complex and a couple other buildings We then have the sheep milk pen as well. But all the other area here is missing. So again, you could sell everything here if you wanted to and put other structures down in single player. Let's double back a little bit just beside field 52. This is going to be our packaging facility. We're going to be packaging some of those bulk products. So we have our interactive icon, we have our dump point. We have our pallet spawn point. Then we have our pallet dump point. We do have a grain sell point located here south of field 34. And then let's just loop around because we've got our town here where we have a whole lot going on. So this is the transport company, I believe. We have a workshop trigger here, but it is going to show up on the PDA as, I believe, transport company. That is logistics. That's what I was getting at. We have our dump point there for our methane sell point. Then we have our logistics sell point. And this is going to be our organic fertilizer production point. So we have organic fertilizer is going to spawn in these barrels. We have our dump point for our organic fertilizer inputs. And then our interactive icon is going to be here on the side. This is going to be our pallet production. So we have our wood dump, our wood cell trigger, our interactive icon, then we have our pallet spawn point. Here we have our spinnery, so we have our fabric spawn point. We have our dump point for our wool or cotton. We have a sell point for our wool or cotton. Then we have our interactive icon. We'll just take it down a notch over here. Here we have our bakery. No, our bakery's not here. It's close, but not here. This is going to be our tailor. The interactive icon, we have our wardrobe trigger. Then we have our clothing spawn point over there. And our dump point here at this building. We have our vehicle shop. Let's go ahead and pick up our Mahindra. So everything's going to spawn here around the side. Really large area for vehicles to spawn, which is always a good thing to see. And then around back, we're going to have our dealer trigger. Remember I said the bakery? Well, it's right here. So you can see why I got that mixed up. Right there is the tailor. Then we have our bakery. So we have our dump point for our planks, our pallets. Our dump point for our inputs. Our pallet spawn point for our outputs. And then the interactive icon is going to be around the front door. Right across from that, we have a grocery sell point. There's our spinnery, just as a matter of keeping things straight. We have our dairy. So we have our interactive icon. We have our dump point for our inputs. We have our pallet spawn point for our outputs. We have our our pallet dump point. Then we have a general sell point here for our dairy. Over here we have a horse pasture. So we have water. We have our food inside. Then we have our horses here around the other side. Total of 10 are going to be available here. We've got a grove of trees. I'm not really sure which trees these are. One are olive, not olive, but ones are pistachio, almond trees. We have some olive trees as well on this map. We make our way over here. This is going to be the cow dealer. So if we're going to be picking up cows, this is where we're going to need to come in order to do that. Again, without that trailer, we can pretty much buy whichever animal we want at whichever animal dealer. Now, as far as our scoring metric goes, we're giving the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, because we do have quite a number of productions built in. We have quite a number of additional productions not pre-placed that we could put down ourselves. So definitely a full point is required there. We have our fuel point, or one of our fuel points on the map. And then this is going to be an area where we're going to be able to sell our root crops, as well as some other items. Grapes, potatoes, almonds, it looks like, and olives. Let's have a sell point for our wool. With respect to the ability to sell all rebasing crops, animal items, and production points. Well, yes, indeed, we do have the ability to do that, so we are going to give the map again a full point there. Can the farms be customized? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, the farms can indeed be customizable. I haven't really run into anything I couldn't sell on any of the farms, so we're going to give the map a full point there also. So here we have farm 3 in multiplayer. It's completely void of all buildings except for the sheep milk area here, the dairy sheep area that we could buy and make use of. Buildings where appropriately are using the new texturing technique. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say sure, they are. If they aren't, they are not terrible as far as texture quality goes, and therefore are not really overly disturbing to look at or kind of distracting to take a look at. Here we have our North BGA. This has got 3 pull-through silage bunkers. We have our digester over here. We have our dump point for our slurry and our fill point for our digestate. And then lastly, trigger in interactive areas clearly marked. We're going to take a quarter of a point off. And the reason we're going to take a quarter point off is because of the fact, well, that I'm not really sure where those darn eggs are supposed to spawn at all of the various farms in multiplayer and at the main farm in single player. So I do wish that that was a little bit clearly marked. So we have a large greenhouse here We have our pallet spawn point. We have our water point. We have our interactive icon. Then we have our dump point for our pallets and our dump point for our manure over here. Again, for the greenhouse. Another industrial area located here. So we have a dump point. We have our interactive point. Then for our grain mill. So that was a grain mill sell point over there. This is the dump point for our production. We have our flour, we have our pallets. And then we have 2 more productions located right here. This is going to be for pistachio oil. So we're going to have to put our pistachios here. We have our interactive icon, and then our little jugs of oil are going to appear here on the table. Then this is going to be our UHT milk production. So our milk, interactive point, and our UHT milk bottles are going to appear here on this table. And that should pretty much cover most everything on this map. There's a whole lot going on, and I try to cover it as quickly as possible and as briefly as possible, with not really skipping out over too many things. I don't know what your all's thoughts are down in the comments below. We're going to wrap this map up with a score of 4.75. It's a very, very nice map. It's got a lot going on. If you are into productions and you kind of like this map, then give it a go. Definitely, we've got 4.5 months before Farming Simulator 25 comes out. This map could easily take you all 4.5 months if you have goals of basically kind of trying to get into all of the various productions. I do wish, though, that Farms 2, 3, and 4 in single player were fully built out. That would give you as a single player an opportunity to decide where do you want to start on this map with respect to Farm Manager or start from scratch, and would give you more expansion opportunities as well as you continue to expand your gameplay. At any rate, I hope that if you do want to do that, you are successful in basically loading the map up in multiplayer, selling those vehicles off, and then merging all that together by loading the map up in single player after you've sold all those buildings, and then you should have access to all of those other farms. Until next time, happy farming.